Well, that was interesting. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. If you make the commitment to walk the emotional minefield that sports are, you just jumped over a big, big one waiting on you there, and you went and made it to the other side. Welcome in, everybody, one and all. It's Three Guys Before the Game, our post-Kansas game review. Thanks so much for being with us. We're all showered, clean, shaven, and ready to go. Three guys with two others. The Senator, Brad Howe, is here. He's a representative of the state of West Virginia, and he's got a state pride logo on his shirt.
Good morning.
The Dean is here, Hoppy Kercheval. He represents the Three Guys brand. He's an ambassador. He's shaven. Normally doesn't shave on. I
did not shave, but you can't tell.
Oh, I can't tell. Yeah. That's a pretty nice problem to have. All right. We're going to bust it all down. Textual healing, the emotional roller coaster of West Virginia and Kansas. Let's do it. Three Guys brought to us by Comex Business Systems. What they do is they keep West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years, and that's a good thing. By Gomart. Get that Gomart rewards card and immediately save on your food and your fuel. Gomart.com for details, or just download the Gomart app. Download that app and have it on your phone, and bingo, you just get savings. It yells at you periodically. Psst, hey, psst, want to save some money? Go to Gomart. Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. I've got breaking news on the boat situation involving Kansas's travel here from Lawrence, Kansas on those pontoon boats.
Yeah,
it didn't happen. They flew.
Oh.
Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. I do have information on that, though, of what it would have taken. Three Guys also brought to us by Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way. We record on Sunday mornings. That's right. Hoppy's got his Tudor's Biscuit World cup. It hot, it cold. How does it know?
How do it know?
Three Guys also brought to us by
Tudor's biscuits sitting out there anywhere?
I did not get any today. I'm sorry.
It was good last week. Also, Conley CPA Group providing
Take
value beyond numbers. We'll get into spreads on stats. Value beyond numbers, Conley CPA.
Yeah.
What?
Brad.
All right, let's start carving up this performance. Just a bunch of random thoughts. Well, guess what? That's the identity of this show.
Yeah,
Just a
really.
bunch of random thoughts. But like, how bizarre is it? In the category of bizarre, West Virginia's now played 4 football games. 2 of those have been suspended at length because of lightning and rain delays, which is just bizarre. First time that's ever happened in the same season at home, 2 in a row. And then the other part of it is, in back-to-back weeks, you had the absolute inverse happen. So last week, West Virginia, double-figure lead, fourth quarter, 2 straight scores by the opposition. West Virginia unable to get a first down.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday, West Virginia down double digits, down 11, scored 2 straight drives. In between that, Kansas unable to get a first down. I mean, the exact inverse of what happened in the course of 7 days. It's enough, I say, enough to make you just scream at the top of your lungs.
Wait, so you're saying sports can be unpredictable?
I'd
Is that
say
what you're saying?
I'd say
Sometimes it doesn't go exactly as you think it's going to go, even within a game?
that's a true statement.
Who knew?
Who
knew?
That's a true statement. Just ask North Carolina.
Oh. Ooh, better not.
70-50, the final score. James Madison over North Carolina. JMU, 12 three-pointers in the game to help lead their way to victory. But that's their problem. They got
rebounded North Carolina.
Yeah, they all rebounded. That's their problem that they'll have to deal with. But let's dissect this thing. We have not chatted as far as what we thought of the game, so we're going to do it in front of you and then bring you guys in with your textual healing comments later. And I will say this about textual healing. I had an epiphany.
Yeah?
Had an epiphany.
What is it?
Well, after last week, right, 200-plus texts of people just screaming at the top of their lungs, folks screaming, fans screaming at the top of their lungs. Okay, I get it. And then this week, you had this really interesting bifurcation of comments.
I assume time was a factor in this. I assume when the texts were received based on time of day.
That's the bifurcation. The bifurcation
people didn't
was,
wait till the end of the game to make comments.
No.
It just kind of flow. Oh.
Yeah, the bifurcation was BS before storm, and then AS after storm, right? And so it was so wild as I went through these of people just at the screaming top of their lungs, all capital letters, fire, fire, fire. How many people then came back and said,
just kidding.
Retract that, delete that, my sorry, I was emotional, I apologize, da-da-da. But anyway, so my epiphany was this. And this is good for me after doing this for as many years as I've done this. I just have a new foundation point. Okay. And this is going to be like a hoppy, obvious observation. I probably should have known this for years, but I really didn't realize it. That we are dealing, and we deal in a world, what we do, the sport that we follow, the sports that we follow and we cover, no matter which way you define it or slice it, all it is an emotional cauldron. That's all this is. Mm-hmm. And so at times, the thing absolutely explodes and it's very emotional, either good or bad. But I think if you just put it into that context, that helps you when it's like super bad. You just go like, well, this is all based upon emotion. Mm-hmm. Or last night after the game was over and West Virginia won, there are people are really super happy, right? It's just the positive side. But regardless, it's always an emotional cauldron that you're in, and I think it helps, like, put it in context at all times, both when you're celebrating a victory and when you're down. It's just like, it's emotion-based. So emotions go up and down. People get hot. People get happy. But it's just emotion.
Yeah, I think that's it. Following sports, being a fan is based on, fanatic is based on emotion. Right. So, and we're not in the culture in which we live, and it's probably been this way for a long time, is that you're not given to deep contemplation at the time. You're having an emotional response to a play, to a quarter, to a game, and you're on that ride.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm guilty as charged.
Oh, I am too.
I mean, during the game, after they scored on that end around late with Luke Grimm running that end around, I went like,
absolutely.
Right? You just sit there and go, I think the word deplorable may have been used at one point by an announcer. Deplorable. Announcer might have been me. But anyway, and then you come back. So let's bust it up. Go.
Okay, HOO, my obvious observations. One is I'll build on what you said, Tony, and that is I think that going forward when they put the records in the media guide, they should put a asterisk by this season and just say, you look down below and it says peculiar, because I mean, 4 games in, and this is so far a peculiar season. The 2 storm delays in Morgantown, how these, as you just talked about, how these games happen up until the Pitt game. Every team, I was given the stat, every team that had been up by 10 points with 5 minutes to go had won until the West Virginia Pitt game. And then you see what happened in the last 2 weeks involving the same team with different results. I mean, that's odd. That's odd, even though we'll get to what Neil Brown said about it, number one. Number 2 is, Brad, the way it is in sport, you keep track, you keep score. So there's a winner, there's a loser. It's black and white. But in reality, the margins are so close, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Margins, I wonder, you may have a stat for this, how close the margins are. Roger Federer, the great tennis player, gave a commencement speech at Dartmouth this year, and he said this: in tennis, perfection's impossible. In the 1,526 singles matches I played in my career, I won almost 80% of the matches. But he only won 54% of the points. But he won 8. So what's that tell you about sport? The margin is so close. And I think especially you look at the Big 12, how these teams are really pretty close. They're not that different. So the margin is literally a couple of plays in a game. The third point is that Garrett Green was kind of up and down during the game, but Garrett Green in the last couple minutes put that team on his back. And it's a team sport, so other guys made plays too. But you need a leader. You need a guy. And the quote that's attributed to Andrew Jackson, I think, I'm not actually sure he said it, but is one man with courage makes a majority, and Dwight Wallace likes to say that, one man with courage.
Is that the defensive line coach, Andrew Jackson?
No, he
the
was,
other one.
Yeah, he might have been defensive line coach, but also president of the United States. But a guy who steps up, grabs whatever he needs to grab and makes plays and pulls that and wills that team forward. And that's what Garrett Green did in the last couple minutes of that game.
So your most important player at the most important position in football made some plays and you won the game? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly
That's
what
part
I'm
of your
That's part of my obvious observation.
Yeah, so a really good player made really good plays, and you won.
That's part of it.
Yeah, that's a good one. We got some numbers to back up Garrett's performance pretty well.
Coming up, Conley CPA. We'll get spreads on stats. Okay, what's your
to further your point of those games were the exact polar opposite 180 from each other against Pitt and against West Virginia. So a couple things. May have been said once or twice on this program that West Virginia had a stretch coming of a bunch of coin flip games. Said coin flip probably is close to as many times as we've sent Andy Kotelnicki on this show.
Very close,
right?
Yes,
They're 1 and 2, I think, in the lexicon of this show.
We're going to struggle next week on a bye week to get Kotelnicki's name in. We're going to have to
remember coin flip.
Put it in.
We'll
We're going to
work
have to put it in. Yeah.
Might just start doing that every show moving forward for the rest of the season. Andy Kotelnicki.
Kind of like Hoppy with Daniels. Daniels.
Yeah, just randomly.
Yeah.
Now, Ollie Gordon's going to be tough to stop. Andy Kotelnicki. We're just going to throw it in like that. So these coin flip games have turned into, of the stretch that began against Pitt, you've had two. What have the two been? At
heads and tails.
At
One
different
heads, one
points in the
tails.
game, you were sure you were going to win. At different points in the game, you were sure you were going to lose. And that's true for both sidelines. But just one number that jumps out, this isn't our section yet, but one number. The last two drives of the last two games. In the Kansas game, West Virginia had 142 yards of total offense in the final two drives, both scoring drives.
West Virginia had 142.
142. In the Pitt game, the last two drives against West Virginia, they had 154 yards. I mean, it was remarkable. That's just one number. We could go down the list. It's amazing how similar those games played out. West Virginia just happened to be on the good side of it. And this, by the way, sports sometimes balances itself out, right? And you hear that a lot. If you've played baseball over any amount of time, that's the sport that seems to do this the most, right? And people talk all the time. There's sometimes, Hop, you come up and you absolutely hit a seed. And sometimes it's right at somebody.
Right.
And they make a play on you. And then somewhere down the line, usually pretty close to that, you're going to come up and you're going to hit a little bloop, and it's going to find its way down the hole. Yeah. And you know what you are when those two things happen? You're 1 for 2.
Yeah.
Right? So they balance each other out. And I think that's what we've seen over the last couple of weeks is in sports, sometimes you get breaks, but generally those things even themselves.
What did Neil Brown say? I mean, Neil Brown didn't come out and say, he said the most common, straightforward thing, which you just alluded to. He says, most things even out.
There you go. Right.
That was his quote after the game. Most things even out, which is a very rational view of what took place over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, if you've played any sport for any amount of time, you know that intimately. Sometimes you get great looks in basketball and as a shooter, and they don't fall. Other times, you're on fire, and it doesn't matter if someone's in your face. If you're fading away, you hit them. Mm-hmm. And that's what we've seen from West Virginia. They made plays yesterday against Kansas that led them to a win. Against Pitt, they were unable to make the play or two that they needed to get the W.
You know, it's crazy. I bet today, and Brad and I were talking about this in our preparation for the podcast this
You guys
morning.
talk before I come in? What do? You have pre-meeting?
We met at 7:30 this morning.
Two guys before the show?
That I haven't looked at the Kansas message boards. I'm sure, like, why did they get so conservative?
I did look at them.
Oh, did you?
I wanted to see. Yes, I wanted to see.
I mean, I don't know about conservative, but I don't know why they threw that ball late. That's a big
Well,
old
that
thank
was
you.
that was a
Might need to send a thank you.
Which
note
one?
there. The one on the side,
just before the
big third down, just before the rain delay.
Oh,
Third and 2. You've
Okay.
been running the ball.
Oh, yeah,
You
I got
decided
you.
to throw it over
Yeah.
on him, which was an unbelievable catch. He just happened to be out of bounds, or at least not enough evidence to say he was inbounds. I have no idea why he didn't run it. That was a big help.
and when they couldn't get a first down, when they wanted to run clock, they went to the run, which they had been running successfully.
So I did.
As
So
West
I did
Virginia
go.
did the week before.
Yeah.
So I did go to their.
you did? Okay.
I did because why? Why? Because sometimes why do people slow down when there's a car accident? Because you want to just kind of take a look, right? You just want to kind of see what exactly is going on. And it is remarkable how similar the comments are being directed toward Kansas that were being directed toward West Virginia last week. You literally, in some of the comments, could take out the coach's name or position, and it's the same exact thing, which brought me again to that epiphany that I was talking about. It's very, very similar, but they're distraught. Why?
1-3.
They're preseason top 25. They literally thought they had a chance to contend in the new Big 12 for the Big 12 championship, and now they're 1-3. And now TCU had a horrific day yesterday, but they got to go play again next week. They're not off. They go play TCU. They are in Kansas next week, and they got to try to turn this thing around. That is why this game is so important for West Virginia. I said it before the game started, right? We said this last week. If you're 1-3 going into this bye week, it is just like a volcano just getting ready to explode. Instead, you're 2-2. Now, that's not exactly where you wanted to be, but you know what? You're that close to 3-1, right? And again, now we know all the flaws of this football team at West Virginia. Okay, this is what we know. Offense has got a chance to be, just like we thought, a very good offense. It can be a productive offense. It hasn't really reached peak efficiency. It can be really good. And we also know this. This defense is not going to be a great defense. Okay? We just know that. Now, the question becomes, where can it get? Where can it get? Is this exactly what it's going to be all season, or can it get a little bit better? Can you get a little bit more solid? Again, not going to be great. Don't even know if it could even venture to become good. But can it be okay enough that you've got an offense that's going to be able to produce points for you to win games?
This just in, it's September. You got 2 more months of football. You're allowed to get better as well, and I think you've seen that, and there's some evidence of this. And again, how often do I say you can't pick, it's a 1-week business. You can't pick up what you did this week and move it forward to the next week, good or bad. Sometimes that happens, but a lot of times it doesn't. It changes. And again, this defense, here's a couple things. You have a lot to work on defensively. You have a lot to work on with your coverage still. But this defense the last 2 weeks, you know what is better? You know what is impressive? The fronts. The defensive front, and there's some guys we're going to talk about individually with some numbers that have been really impressive the last 2 weeks. Here's the other part. You need guys to make plays in big moments, and sometimes they don't, and that turns into a loss. And sometimes they do. It was Garrett Green offensively along with some receivers, but Garrett Green just put the team on his back offensively and said, I got it, let's go. Six just said, I'm going. Well, defensively, Sean Martin, I mean, you talk about a big boy play on the second to last offensive series. We just had this discussion the week before when West Virginia misses a block because the Pitt slot corner did a better job than West Virginia's receiver and made a play. It was simply that. You could strip away all the hours of video, all the coaching, all the everything. One guy beat another guy and Pitt won the matchup and he blew up the play and it cost West Virginia a game, right? Sean Martin in Kansas are doing the same thing right now. Sean Martin just said, I am better and bigger than you, and you're not blocking me even though you're holding me. By the way, it was a hold, didn't call it. He busts right through, gets his tackle for a loss. That changed that drive. You know who else did that? Tyron Bradley on the last drive said, was that right? You're going to try and block me one-on-one? You don't want to chip on me? Guess what I'm going to do? You're holding me too? You got one arm behind my back. You're holding me. No flag on that. Goes right around him. Sack, fumble, forced fumble, fumble recovery, game over, we'll see you. That was 8 making a play. Just said, I am better than you. You can't stop me, and made a play. So those guys, and especially the defensive front, we're going to get some pressure numbers. They have been better the last 2 weeks. Are you perfect? Far from it. Can you get better throughout the season? Absolutely you can. I think that particular niche part of the defense has done a much better job the first 2 weeks than they did in week 1.
All agreed. And you talk about the time for a bye week that you need. That game was ruthless as far as West Virginia injuries go. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was absolutely bizarre. Think about this. The guys that went down, you're already playing without Reed Carrico, mm-hmm. who is a very, very quality linebacker.
Massive loss.
You almost lose Josiah Trotter with a knee. He comes back with a brace, so you don't even know what was he at yesterday. Was he 50, 60, 70% when he went back out there? TJ Crandall.
Hold on real quick before you move on. Trotter had 6 tackles in the first quarter when he went out.
Before he got hurt.
He was on pace for 24 tackles.
Yes. No, you're right. He was playing. Absolutely. TJ Crandall run-ins to Aiden Garnes. He never comes back. Mm-hmm. Garnett Hollis has an ankle. They have to take him off. He eventually comes back.
So now you're at 4 starters.
Wyatt Milam goes out, and you thought they took him into the locker room. You thought, okay, fine, he's done. Aubrey Burks has a situation on the sideline. They have to stretcher him off, take him over to the hospital. Knock on wood. Fortunately, he got back at the end of the game and was on the sideline, and he's okay. I mean, but those are the ones we know about. Who else is walking around there just like limping and gimping today?
That's some high-profile guys you just named right there.
So the point to all of that is, thank goodness they now have an opportunity to recover, and so that when you go play in a couple of weeks at Oak State, you'll be better than you are right now.
Worked out great, and I don't want to push ahead, but I'm going to push ahead a little bit. It's already a favorable situational spot for West Virginia going to Stillwater.
Excuse me?
That's a hard place for West Virginia to play, although they won there the last time they were there. But Utah was visiting Oklahoma State yesterday. That's a hard-fought game for the Cowboys. So do they get a rest week this week? No. They do not. They will get Kansas State next. So they're going Utah, Kansas State in back-to-back weeks.
At K-State?
At K-State, back-to-back weeks while West Virginia rests and recovers. Doesn't mean you're going to win. That's a good situational spot. Normally we see the bad situational spots. That matters. We're going to talk about that in the preview of next week. But just an early peak, you've got a nice scheduling setup for this particular game.
Earlier I said that we don't talk football before we start recording, and we don't. But we do talk about other topics. And one of those was customer service before we started rolling today. And unfortunately, the customer service in the world that we live in has just gone over the years. But you know what has not? Comax Business Systems, one of our founding premier sponsors. They, to this moment, offer tremendous customer service. So if you're in the business world, they've got every piece of business equipment that you can imagine, from a paper clip to the greatest printer in the world, and digital phone systems competitively priced. So if you're a business owner and you guys have been thinking about business gear or digital phone systems, time for a new one, contact Comax Business Systems. They will give you a free price quote. Come in, check out, see what your needs are, and then payment-wise, you can price, you can purchase, you can lease, you can rent, whatever works for you. ComaxWV.com. That's ComaxWV.com. Great customer service. Trust me on that one. Also coming up later, food court basically is becoming like a mini Woodstock. If you think about
That's about right.
If you think about
Less mud.
And a urinal. We do have a urinal. What a weekend that was. It started, earliest start for a lunch. We've never done a lunch before. Did a lunch that was met with rave reviews. We'll show you some pictures and things like that. Just a wow. Word of mouth.
Connection 304 flowing again.
Yeah. Sold out. Connection 304 sold out.
I haven't confirmed. Is Parkersburg Brewing like adding on to the brewery to handle capacity of this? Did I hear that? They pursuing some construction bids right now?
Not sure, but someone told me, and I don't have this confirmed, down Route 50, to get to Parkersburg.
Yeah.
You know how they have that oversized trailer? There was 4 of those carrying these massive silo things. I think they were going to Parkersburg.
Like those big tanks?
Big tanks. Yeah. One stretch from Doddridge all the way to Ritchie County. Big tank. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, there's some pictures. We'll show you. We'll talk about those later. But yeah, all good. All good. What do you say we do? You ready to do some spreads on stats?
I'm anxious to hear this.
Yeah, because I have a lot.
You don't say.
Settle in.
What does that mean? What do you have?
Well, I got a lot, and I had to stop because there's more.
We'll just go right to the numbers.
Let's check the numbers. Here we go.
Let's jump into the analytics portion of the show. Ready? 5, 4, 3.
Spreads on Stats is brought to us by Conley CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. What does that mean? Well, that means that they're just not some old dudes and ladies that get in there with a pencil, number 2 pencil, and just put numbers onto a tax form. That's not what they do. They serve as your guide in the business world, giving you consultancy. What's the best way to do this? What's the best way to do that? If you're a business owner looking for tax planning, preparation, consulting, advisory, they got you covered. Plus, they can come in and do portions of your accounting in your business. They can do that remotely. They provide that service, plus financial officer services as well. It's Conley CPA Group. Businesses located in Marion County, but they've got clients literally all over the state. All right, so how you doing? How you cutting up this pie?
We're going to do, so now that we're into the season, let's do what we do. I'll run through this quickly. Let's take a look back to what we talked about in the preview and see what came to fruition, what did not come to fruition from a number standpoint. Then we'll just get into some info about this game. You can ask some grade questions too if you'd like. So let's take a look back. Hoppy, one of the biggest topics going into this game, it was Jalen Daniels' struggles in the passing game with interceptions versus West Virginia's struggling pass defense. We also talked about Daniels' inability to push the ball down the field. Let's look at those numbers. Daniels' interceptions, threw one.
Yeah, he did.
Never saw Tyron Bradley, who sank in coverage, did a great job. Bradley with a pick, Hop. Not only the sack, the forced fumble, the recovery, but he also had a pick. What a day for Tyron Bradley. We'll get to that coming up. So an interception from Daniels came to fruition. Yards per attempt for Daniels yesterday up almost a full yard from his Big 12 low of 6.4 yards through the first 3 games. So pushed it downfield a little bit more. We also noted on Thursday, we said, keep an eye on this. Not only has he thrown interceptions, he has fumbled. He has fumbled 3 times heading into the game. Guess what happened on the final defensive play of the game for West Virginia to seal the game? Tyron Bradley strips him, fumble by Daniels. We said to watch KU's rushing game, thought they would probably lean a little more heavily on the run, given the passing game struggles and just the ability of Devin Neal and Daniels when he takes off and running. We talked about Kansas' offensive line had been playing well. Neal was really good, 110 yards rushing on the ground. We talked about Daniels' ability to scramble and West Virginia's struggle against scrambling quarterbacks in 2 of the first 3 games. 87% of Daniels' rushing yards came via the quarterback scramble. He averaged 11.5 yards per carry after contact on scrambles. So that's back-to-back quarterbacks that have averaged 10-plus yards after contact on their scrambles. Now, that number for Daniel sounds a lot worse than what it actually was. He had one run of 21 yards that accounted for a lot of that. So the numbers sound really bad, but it really wasn't as bad as it sounded there. So he had some plays where he got loose and he was dangerous getting outside of contain and throwing the ball, but it ended up being okay for West Virginia. On the ground, West Virginia struggled to stop him, though. They ran for nearly 250 yards. They had 15 of their rushing downs came via first downs. That's 63% of their first downs came on the ground. Probably should have run a little bit more.
Well,
they had some success.
And Neal made a point post-game. Why did they have such success? Because what they had to do in the back half of the defense, right? Yeah, they had to basically bring more back in order to stop the pass, and so you're lighter in the box.
And so it's what we always talk about, and I think it's I get to your point about emotion. It's hard to watch games like this. I get it that we do a little bit more than a fan can, I understand. But rarely are you going to get college teams, especially in the Big 12 this year, that are going to do everything well. They're just not. You hear coaches say a lot of times, this goes for basketball too, we'll talk about this when the season comes, you've got to live with something sometimes. What are you willing to live with? And sometimes what you're willing to live with gets you beat, right? What can you live with? And that was what West Virginia was saying. We're going to help our pass defense. If you run it on it, we'll have to live with that, and hopefully it doesn't get us beat. Ultimately, you won the game, but they did have success on the ground. 2 of the Kansas wide receivers, side note, had the best run blocking grades for Kansas. So you wonder why those reverses were working? Yeah. They had some good blocking on the edge from their guys. We also said on Thursday's show to watch West Virginia defensive lineman TJ Jackson. Had a breakout game against Pitt with his 4 TFLs, the most by a West Virginia player since 2018. How'd Jackson do yesterday, guys? Had a sack, and he's tied for the team lead with 4 stops, which is a PFF staff. The definition is it constitutes a failure for the offense. So Jackson had 4 of those. Somewhat unusual for a defensive lineman to lead your team there. He was West Virginia's 2nd highest graded defender. I've got some more Jackson numbers I'll get to here in just a minute. We talked offensively for West Virginia about the matchup between KU's really good defensive line and West Virginia's offensive line that had both been playing very well. We mentioned Jeremy Robinson from Kansas being one of the top pressure guys from the right side in the league, but he was going against Wyatt Milam, so that should help neutralize him. Just 1 pressure from Robinson on the day. It did turn into a sack, but for the most part, when he was lined up across from Milam, that worked out to the benefit. He did work on the other side as well. But KU got in there. They were credited with 21 pressures on the quarterback, and we'll get to why that mattered coming up in just a minute about Garrett. We noted West Virginia's efficiency on defense. Came into the game leading the country in 4th down conversions and 4th down conversion rate. Had another successful 4th down play. Okay, that's my recap from last week.
Oh, that's the recap.
That's the recap.
So if you were to theme that, what would you say?
most of those things came to fruition.
Right.
I mean, the stuff we talked about, here's what's going to have to happen for a win, that kind of came to fruition, right? Or at least some of the things that we said to watch were things that you had to watch. So that actually played for the most part. Highest graded defender for West Virginia. I'd ask you to guess, but you really don't need to guess. Tyron Bradley. Talk about, I haven't mentioned it much this year, Hop. Havoc.
Oh, yeah,
right?
havoc rate.
Which are sacks, forced fumbles, turnovers, passes defended.
Is this the debut of Havoc rate?
No, because I'm not going to give you a Havoc rate. I'm just saying Tyron Bradley was a walking. You open Havoc in the dictionary, and it's Bradley's picture and number right there. Sack, forced fumble, fumble recovery, interception. That guy was good.
You think that's a pretty good pickup?
Tyron?
Yeah.
Pretty good pickup.
From Abilene Christian?
Pretty good pickup.
Pretty good pickup.
He's his last 2 games, he's been really good as well. TJ Jackson, I mentioned earlier, 2 really good back-to-back games for him. He actually flashed in the Penn State game as well. So he had a sack. He is now leads the Big 12 in total pressures. Pretty good. So we talked about this defensive line starting to get some push up front. He's 3rd in the Big 12 in sacks right now. You mentioned Trotter earlier, and we talked about his 6 tackles in the first quarter. He also had 4 stops on the game, double-digit tackles. So he just continues to be a guy that can make some plays. Give honorable mention to Sean Martin. We talked about that big boy play he had on 3rd down, so credit to him. Let's flip over to the offensive side and look at some of Garrett's numbers. This was I'll dive into these numbers because I've got a bunch of them, but here's the bottom line on Garrett, guys. He not only just said, I've got it, let's go, get on my back, I'm going to carry you through. He was also the Garrett Green that we've seen of old.
Correct.
That was you know what, you want to bring pressure, you're getting some good pressure up front, that defensive line's good, you know what I'm going to do? See ya, I'm out. I'm just going to take off and make a play. And there were times in those last 2 drives where, he dropped back and it was fast. It was like, okay, nobody's open, boom, I'm out, taking off and running. So that to me was what the essence of what makes Garrett Green great was on display yesterday. That's a dude just making football plays. You can draw up whatever you want. You can call whatever you want. That's just a guy that just said, I've got to go out and make some plays. You saw him put a shoulder down and run through a defender into the end zone. You saw him run around guys. You saw him make guys miss. You saw him throw the ball effectively.
You saw him with a tush push.
with the help. He did get a tush push. That's exactly right.
Yeah, he helped. He got an assist on that.
Pushed him into the end zone. Some weird numbers, though. How about these passing numbers? Just 3 of 10 passing on passes from 0 to 5 yards.
How about that?
You will not. A lot of those were batted down.
Yeah.
Right? Kansas did a great job when they were getting pressure. They got hands up and knocked a lot of those down. But here's the flip of that. 8 of 11 on passes of 15 yards or more. 226 yards.
That's exactly what we did
so
last year.
So what did we say last year about this team? Run it, Garrett run it, and then throw the ball deep. You did it. It was back. It worked.
Thank you, Huddy Clement.
Here's a funny little number. Garrett threw for exactly the same number of yards in between the hashes, middle of the field, 15 yards or more, okay? Exactly the same number of yards in that little niche area as Jalen Daniels threw for total in the entire game.
The slant.
So you talk about an area you were just attacking. Middle of the field, 15 yards downfield.
And think about that. Most of the time, oftentimes, passes between the 2 hash marks are caught by tight ends, right? But you didn't get a tight end reception over the middle of the entire game. The one that Cole Taylor caught was obviously the touchdown out on the flat. So that was all those slants that Hudson Clement was a part of.
I'll get to Clement coming up here in just a second. We'll talk some more about him because you talk about a guy that just said, you're not going to guard me. I'm just going to beat you on some plays. Here's what we got. Garrett averaged nearly 10 yards per attempt yesterday. That was almost up 3 yards per attempt on the season. Average depth of target, 13.7 yards. So again, just backs up that you had some success pushing it down the field. When the game was on the line, Garrett completed 4 of his final 5 passes. The 4 completions, 2 first downs, and 2 touchdowns. Is that good?
Yeah, it's good.
Is that high leverage situations? They also had that defensive pass interference play that was included in there late that doesn't go down as a completion or incompletion. Really effective passing the ball late.
You don't think that was pass interference, do you? On Mello Dotson?
I
I thought one of the cops was going to come off the sideline to handcuff him and put him in for malicious assault.
Still almost made the catch.
Mello Dotson's having a really, really good year. He's probably an NFL dude at some point. He had a tough day.
They went right after him.
They went right after him yesterday. So is that right? Come on. Here we go. Guys making plays. Line up. You're having a great year. We're going to go right at you and beat you. and did.
You know, it was interesting, speaking of Hudson, than the day that he had yesterday, but Neil specifically talked about him in his postgame. And he said he was just putting too much pressure on himself to start the season because, there were a lot of accolades about him last year. He had a great, great season last year and ended it in the bowl game, right? And so he was really ramped up, and he wanted to be a great, player, like I'm the guy. And Neil felt that he was pressing too hard. And he said, dude, you're a sophomore. He said, chill out, just go have fun and play. And he finally played loose yesterday. Great getting him involved early, makes a nice slant catch, gets yards, and that just started his motor.
One other thing you saw was that one of the challenges for the receivers has been to get open, to get separation. And, he bulked up during the offseason. And one play we saw where they isolated on him, where the defender was up in his grill and Clement just pushed him out of the way. Look, if they're going to grab you, you got to be aggressive too. And he just pushed the guy physically 4 or 5 yards out back, and then went and was open for the reception. So that's how you're going to have to play.
Yeah.
Garrett rushing the ball. 88% of his scramble yards came after contact. 6.3 yards per carry after contact. He was just untackleable yesterday.
He's slippery.
Really good. 7 missed forced tackles. That was 64% of the team's total in that category. He had 6 rushing first downs, did Garrett. 4 of them came on scrambles, not designed runs. That final drive we mentioned, he just took over. That was a 7-play, 67-yard touchdown drive. Garrett accounted for all but 6 yards on the drive, either running or throwing the football. So I won't do it. We could get into some usage rates and predicted points added and expected points. His stuff in the fourth quarter was off the charts. So your most important player on the team that has to be good for you to be good absolutely was lights out, was an All-American type of player yesterday, especially late. Let's talk about Hudson for a minute. You mentioned some of the key highlights. 150 yards receiving, that's his second most in a game, behind only that 177 against Duquesne last year. That's the most receiving yards for a West Virginia player not named Clement since Bryce Ford Wheaton went for 155, I think it was, against Kansas in 2022. Had 9 targets, most in a game for his career. Had 7 catches, most in a game for a career.
Career high 7 catches, yeah.
He was a dude. How about Rodney Gallagher?
Yes.
Talk about Gallagher for a second. Did he matter? Huge punt return to set up a score. That was massive.
19-yard return.
Massive to do that. He had his first career touchdown catch. He had that big 6-yard rush on the final drive. Again, I mentioned that was the only non-Garrett Green play of the drive. Had 6 targets in the passing game. So he was really good on the offensive side of the ball. It was good to see him emerge. Here's another funny number that we don't talk about all the time. Hop, I mentioned this on our broadcast during the game. I keep an eye occasionally on field position, and it pops up when you get a play like Gallagher, when you get a punt, and then he has a great return that sets you up and you start a drive in really good field position. That oftentimes not only changes that moment or that drive, it can flip the game. So I was watching this throughout the game. There was a moment in the third quarter, I mentioned this on air, West Virginia had a plus 15-yard field position advantage. So if you want to find a number that kind of follows its way, generally if you have a giant advantage, even if it's one drive, that's going to turn out well. You win like 90-some% of the games when you have a 10-plus yard field position advantage. It didn't end up there. It balanced itself out a little bit, but West Virginia was still plus 7 in field position advantage, which matters. That's generally a good sign.
West Virginia started at its own 30 on average. Kansas started at its own 23.
That changes the game when you do that. Okay, so those are kind of my main pieces of information. Anybody questions, grades, anything you want to know? Sir?
I have a question.
Yes.
Representing the Weekly Reader. Did you have a Weekly Reader in elementary school?
Sure, of course I did.
I used to help pass them out. Anyway, individual grades among offensive linemen.
Individual grades among offensive linemen, okay. Let's do this. I'm going to go to the blocking tab because I think you'll find this of interest. Hold on.
Efforting.
Want me to sing a little bit while we pause?
No, probably not.
3 Guys is currently in an intermission. We'll be right back.
Weather delay. How about that?
Crazy.
Is that crazy?
Well, I tell you what, they do a nice job, boy, because whenever they put that thing on there that says, hey, there's a storm coming, like you look out and go like, there's no storm coming. Look at it. It's beautiful out here right now. And I mean, here she comes. That radar, what a concept.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's just take overall offensive grades. And again, my standard disclaimer on Sunday mornings, there may be some changing in this. These are early grades. They continue to watch, upgrade, change. Top two highest offensive graded players, Clement and Garrett Green, as you would expect. But then you start rolling with some guys that did the blocking. Wyatt Milam's third. Traylon Davis had a good pass blocking day and had an elite run blocking day, which that's what you need out of there. Remack was up there, your sixth highest graded offensive player, then Nick Malone. So you had 3-year linemen up there in your top 7 guys. Generally, that's pretty good.
You know, Wyatt Milam, I mentioned earlier how important this week off is for rest. Before he hurt his foot, like he had a Fred Munster boot on his leg.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it looks like, you remember Fred?
Yeah.
From the Munsters?
Sure.
He had those kind of like, those boots that he was wearing, right? He was already wrapped up. And I saw him several times in August where he got dinged up. I think he's playing through
He could use a week off.
He could use a week off. He almost had like a walking boot on before the game was even started. And so he probably needs a ton of rehab.
Put up an 88.7 pass blocking
Fantastic.
grade. That's through the roof. You don't get those numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
We haven't talked about the 2-point conversion. That was pretty cool.
So that was
trickeration.
I saw that when they practiced that in August, and we have a text coming up. Second year in a row in West Virginia's Big 12 Conference opening game that Traylon Ray has thrown a 2-point conversion to Cole Taylor. It's like the birds coming back to Capistrano. It just happens on an annual basis. I thought Traylon Ray did 2 things on that play of great interest. He was incredibly deceptive because it did look like a run.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also incredibly patient because he almost waited too long. By the time Cole Taylor got that thing, it was as far as you could go in that back corner of that end zone. And he was open earlier.
And what was wild is it felt like Ray was like in the 4th row of the stands when he got the ball. That play got almost all the way to the far left of the field for it to end on the very far right corner of the field.
Yeah.
Right? He caught the ball on the left hash and was running forever on
Yes,
that.
exactly right.
But put a nice spot. When you got a 6'7" target, you throw it high, and Taylor did a great job. That wasn't a lumbering
catch,
tight
man.
end. That was an elite receiver. Go up, get it, toe tap, 2-point conversion. Good. That was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Traylon Ray can throw a little bit. Great baseball player.
Yeah, he was a really good baseball player. I thought penalty-wise, West Virginia, 3 for 20.
Except the only one in the first half that you had was a massive one. It took another touchdown off the board.
Brandon Yates.
Yeah, it took another one off the board.
Yeah, I don't get
so that's
that.
2 in 2 weeks that you've had holding penalties take touchdowns off the board.
I know.
That one again, I don't think that was as egregious as Milam, and I get it. They'll tell you because his left arm was out and around. Man, that's a tough one. There was not much of a hold, but the left arm was out around. Woo. But that was a mat. There weren't many. That one could have been tough.
That was the Big 12's A crew. Kevin Marr was the referee. That's their A crew. That's the crew that worked the Big 12 championship game last year.
It was pretty clean though, right? I mean, they didn't call many penalties, which implies that it was fairly called. And
Yeah, Lance Leipold lost his mind on the interception on the hospital end by Kobe Bryant because he felt that Bryant got speared after he went down to the ground, and they didn't call it. He ran onto the field, lost his.
Kobe Bryant had a good game yesterday. That was a good pick. He just jumped around and jumped in front.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fine, but they also missed at least 3 holds on that final drive. So, okay, we're all good. What they didn't do, they did not insert themselves into the game.
Right.
I thought the crew at Pitt
Yes.
absolutely inserted themselves into the game, sometimes unwanted. So this
Agreed.
was one of those, you swallowed your whistle on some holds. Okay.
They also were unhappy on the Kansas side because on the late hit on Garrett, on the late drive, he ran out of bounds, came back inbounds, ran out of bounds, and got hit.
Correct.
So they're saying, like, wait a second. He comes back onto the field to play, but they're saying, hey, he stepped out of bounds. Defenders got to see that he's out of bounds. He's out of bounds. You can't hit him again.
And you didn't. Nobody knew he had stepped out of bounds until you looked at the replay of that.
Yeah.
So that's Get out of here. You can't complain about that.
To your point,
Don't hit the quarterback out of bounds. If there's anybody on the field you shouldn't hit out of bounds, it's going to be your starting quarterback, so don't do it.
To your point on Rodney Gallagher, to score your first career touchdown that way, right? So that's an awesome memory. But to his credit, keep in mind, he was out there a lot more because Preston Fox was injured.
Mm-hmm.
And he did not play defense because of that. And also, Pac-Man Fox, they used his sure hands to catch two of those punts late in the game where he didn't have to run around too much. So
stop right there. Think about what you're saying right now. So they bring Pac-Man Fox in because he's got great hands and he'll catch the ball, right? Not totally 100% healthy. So you bring him in to return a punt because he's a good catcher. Mm-hmm. You're platooning at the punt return position because you needed a big return. You put Gallagher back, he returns it. We're not many years removed from when Dana's decision was to not put a punt returner back. And as ridiculous as that decision was, it was actually a really good decision. That's how bad the punt return game was not too many years ago. Yeah. Now you're platooning guys back there.
You don't win that game without that 19-yard return.
It was huge.
Likely.
Yeah. It was huge.
Happy for Rodney Gallagher, right? Happy for Rodney Gallagher.
But he's a guy, like, of these guys you're talking about, and again, guess what? You can get better, right? You're allowed to acclimate to big-time college football and find your footing a little bit. We talked about him. He hadn't played any receiver in high school. He'd played quarterback out of need. Right? So he comes in last year, thrown right into the fire. This just in. You're allowed to improve, and he has. He's become more comfortable. He's becoming much more of a weapon.
Mm-hmm. Little by little.
That's how it works.
Yeah, day by day. All right, so West Virginia wins it 32-28, crossing over the magical 30-point number. You go back and look at the stats. You get to 30, you got an incredibly tremendous opportunity to win games over time. And turnovers, dead even, 2-2. Is how it finished up. But the seal came with the strip and recovery by West Virginia's Tyron Bradley, and that wrapped it up. So now you're even up 2-2 with an off week, and then 3 ranked teams in a row facing the world champion Mountaineers. Oak State at Oak State, Iowa State here, K-State here. It's fun. It's fun. It's on, and you do have to get a lot better.
You do, and that's a tough trip to Oak State, but they got some issues too. I mean, didn't Bowman get benched yesterday?
Did he get set down?
Did I hear that?
I have to look that up. I don't know.
And Ollie Gordon hasn't been Ollie Gordon yet.
Don't start that. I mean, don't bring that up yet. I mean, just don't start that.
Let me check on the Bowman thing.
What's he doing over there tweaking Ollie Gordon? I mean, just let that dog lie. And last time he was here, he ran all the way down to Lewis County. Right out the back of the stadium through the hospital, got on to 79. That was the last time we saw him.
Tough stretch, tough league. There's just a lot of these games, right? Baylor, Colorado last night was back and forth coin flip type of game. That's what this league is. And again, it makes it super fun. I think if I was watching nationally, this is a league you turn into to watch some of these games. But if you're the team in there and you're trying to find wins each week, we said at the beginning of the year, there was one game on this schedule that you knew for sure you were getting a win. Just one. That's tough.
Yeah, the Great Danes. Other than that, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Spreads on Stats has been brought to us by the Conley CPA Group. Hey, you know what today is, Hop? It's the autumnal equinox.
Oh, that's right. First day of autumn.
First day of autumn.
Is it dark outside right now?
Yeah. Snow flurries in the next couple of days.
Recording this in the morning, it's dark, right?
But fall does begin today. You know what that means, Hoppy?
What's
that means it's peak leaf watching season. That means now that Halloween is just right around the corner. And that means that Big Candy is about to take over at your favorite Gomart convenience store. That's right, baby. We're talking about milk duds that are like medicine balls, 12 to 15 pounds. We're talking about Reese cups, big as manhole covers. And obviously, a lot of people like a savory Halloween, and they'll take a Slim Jim. And at Gomart, they have them the same length of fly rods. They're all available to you there. Go to Gomart, download the app, get the rewards card, and you immediately begin saving on food and fuel and great promotions. I mean, Brad recently took advantage of that candy promotion in there. What was that promotion?
Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
And then what was the deal? You checking it right now?
They were the shapes. Yeah, I was looking at something else. They've got these nice chocolate-covered pretzels.
What?
Flips brand.
Really?
Gonna get a little
so what's the deal? What's the deal on that?
They're $3 for a bag. Well, Flips chocolate-covered pretzels.
That is a hell of a
You
concept.
get a little chocolate and a little sweet and salty.
That's
those
a great concept.
White chocolate or milk.
Whoever
Take
like
the whole bag down right now, Kercheval.
like who did that? Like that'd be a good discovery. Like who said one day looked at a piece of chocolate and then looked over at a pretzel and said, "What if those two got married?"
I don't know, but it was genius. They're good.
There was
I'm sorry, real quick. Buy 2 get 1 free on the Reese peanut butter cup shapes.
You buy 2 and you get 1 free.
Yeah. So, and again, I mean, I recommend this because I did this. It worked out great. If you just walk in the front door and start yelling, like, "Where are they?" That really works well.
Great folks at
Great
Gomart.
Great customer service at
Get the
Gomart. They
rewards
just
card. Yeah.
right.
The brownie
guys just said
folks-
right over here. Here, big thing.
at the Three Guys Tailgate, the brownie folks there,
Yeah, from
Brownie
the Brownie
House.
House.
That would be
Yeah,
Brownie
from the Brownie
House.
House. Yeah.
they had I bought a couple, and one of them was the chocolate with caramel and also pretzel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Enjoyed
there's a
that
lot going
last
on.
night.
A lot going on there.
Was really good. They were a very, very nice lady from the brownie house.
They're excellent.
Oh, they're wonderful people.
Terrific.
Yeah,
Yeah, just terrific. All right, you guys ready to do a little healing?
sure.
We're gonna heal. Like last week, we really needed to heal. Like we were on like life support last week. This will
Needed
be a
an
little bit
IV.
different. Yeah, this will be just a little bit different on the textual healing. Let's play the song. Textual Healing is presented by episode800.com. That's our website. That's where you can buy a bunch of different stuff. Like the shirt I'm wearing, the shirt that Hoppy's wearing. You can buy our coffee there from Mountaineer Roasting, which is just terrific. And so many other different things.
We
available.
might work on those hats. Those they sold out over the weekend. I think we have like 1 left.
You sold out all those hats?
All those hats. Yeah, we may get them on the website, but we're also going to have them at the next food court. We got to restock, Kercheval. Get some more inventory.
Very popular.
Gone. You
They
wore
were-
one.
I wore one, and they were very popular at the tailgate.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
Textual Healing. Matt in Kaiser, Mineral County, checking in. Since the beginning of last season, Garrett Green, listen to this stat, spreads on stats here, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
Garrett Green has led West Virginia on 11 2-minute drives. That's defined by me as a drive starting with between 1 minute and 2 minutes and 30 left and a half. So he's had 11 of those in the last 2 seasons. The team scored touchdowns 9 of the 11 times and got a field goal in another. In those drives, Green has thrown for 426 yards, run for 230. He averages 14 yards per carry. I did this back of a napkin research to ask you if West Virginia's offense should consider always running a version of the 2-minute drill. I know that comes with risks, but the numbers speak for themselves.
Those are really good numbers because we talked about that yesterday. That you just know that, right? You know, watching him that he's been able to do that and had that type of success. If those numbers are right, Matt, I know you said you did it quickly there. If those are right, that's unbelievable. That's an unbelievable hit rate right there. Your challenge, though, if you go to that all the time, I mean, I get it. You see that and you say, all right, if that's working, do it more. And I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see that a little more because you got to turn Garrett loose, right? Neil's talked about that a bunch. At some point, he's just got to turn him loose and let him make plays, and that's part of where it does that. Now, you run it more often, and certainly defenses have some more time to prepare for it and be ready and have some answers for you, but that's certainly effective when they've gone to it.
Yeah, so if you take a look at it, as Brad says and as the writer of the text indicates, there is some risks to that because you throw your defense back out onto the field. If you don't have a good drive, you're throwing your defense back out there, it could lead to problems. Mm-hmm. So what West Virginia is doing is kind of a hybrid version of it. They'll go fast in the middle of a drive. So they'll play, and then all of a sudden they'll hit one, and they'll turn it on, and then they'll pull it back, turn it on, pull up. But your point's well taken.
And then hold the full package of it in the actual 2-minute situation. It's kind of like a pitcher changing speeds, right? As hard as you throw, you step out and only throw gas, eventually people adjust to you. So they're trying to manage both, help protect the defense so you're not wearing your defense out, but also working to the offense's advantage.
And also the defense has a role in that as well, the other team's defense. So they're saying, okay, just keep everybody in front of you. Don't let them get a big play. They can move down the field, but they got to get a touchdown, therefore. So there's some of that too.
Sure. This next text came in, and at face value, it looked really super long. And I said, I can't read all this. But then I dug into it, and this is a theme that Brad started on his stats. But this is Troy from Long Island writing. You know Long Island, Hoppy?
Long Island, New York.
Large, expanse piece of land in New York State that is the genesis is glacial till. That's
Really?
yeah, it's all glacial till is what created Long Island.
Good info. Well done.
Thank you. Hey, three guys, fascinated by how similar the ending to this game was to last week's brawl. This time it went in our favor. Seriously, he says. Check this out. Ready?
Yeah.
Try to do this. Numbers are hard to keep in your head, but we'll just do it. Against Pitt, 9-play, 68-yard drive by West Virginia gives them a 10-point lead, under 5 to go in the fourth quarter. Yesterday, 6-play, 54-yard drive by Kansas puts them up 11, 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Pitt comes back, 5-play, 75-yard touchdown drive, 1:49 off the clock, cuts West Virginia's lead to 3 minutes and 6 seconds to go. West Virginia yesterday responds, 9-play, 75-yard drive, 2 minutes and 12 seconds, cuts Kansas to 3 with 3:27 to go. This is pretty wild, isn't it? Next one, West Virginia has a 3-and-out, took 1:07 off the game clock, gives Pitt the ball back with 2 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
Against Kansas, Kansas has its 3-and-out. Sean Martin comes with that tackle behind the line, and now West Virginia gets the ball back, 2 minutes to go. Pitt responds, 6-play, 77-yard drive, takes a 4-point lead, 32 seconds to go. West Virginia responds, 7-play, 67-yard drive to take a 4-point lead with 26 seconds to go, 6-second difference. Down 4, West Virginia has a 4-play, 27-yard drive, ends with an interception last week. Against Kansas, down 4, Kansas, 3-play, 27-yard drive, exact same length of drive, ends with a fumble. Anyway, good win. Great podcast.
Great
Troy,
text.
Long Island.
Those are two really good texts to start. Those are well thought out, well researched, fact-based, excellent texts. Here's the other thing. In each of those two games, it involved a really effective scrambling quarterback.
Yes.
Holstein for Pitt, Green for West Virginia.
By the way, you
text.
just don't. That is a great text, and you just don't see that. Okay,
No, that's
you
bizarre.
don't. That doesn't happen. I mean, how many games have we all seen? You don't see that in back-to-back games with that many similarities. Doesn't happen.
Ben in Chicago writes in, oftentimes we do put information out on this podcast and we use the term unconfirmed. So we do have people that try to confirm, research various things. Here's a confirmation. Ben in Chicago writes, I wanted to point out that the Kansas Jayhawks could have taken a fleet of Lou Wendell pontoon boats from Kansas City down the Missouri River. At St. Louis, you turn right onto the Mississippi, then turn left at Cairo, Illinois, and head up the Ohio River, make a right in Pittsburgh at the Mon, make your way down to Morgantown. You would, however, have to navigate through 20 locks and dams. Unfortunately, there is a non-navigable dam just west of Kansas City preventing the trip from beginning in Lawrence. So apparently, this confirms that Kansas did not take the boats here. I thought we'd get it right.
Yeah.
But this is what we do know, that Lou Wendell Marine Sales is the premier pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. And if there is a waterway, and it is a clear passage, a Lou Wendell boat will get you there. Take a look at LouWendellMarineSales.com. That's LouWendellMarineSales.com. Premier pontoon boat dealer in our state. They sell the Avalon boats made in Michigan. They're just terrific. And they've got those G3, those John boats. Mm-hmm. Anything you want to do on that thing. You want to go duck hunting? You can go duck hunting on that. You just want to go fishing? You go fishing. It's the approved boat of Daffy Duck, the duck hunting boat, the G3 series at Lou Wendell Marine Sales, LouWendell.com.
And there's a Three Guys Tailgate connection.
We'll show you that. Yeah.
Show you that in a little bit.
Yeah. Just finished listening to your podcast on my way home to Parkersburg via automobile, not pontoon. And I had to stop into the Parkersburg Brewing Company for a Connection 304.
Very good.
There it is.
Very good.
At the brewery. Great beer, great
That's
pod.
at the home office?
Yeah, at home office. Great
World
beer, great
headquarters?
pod. I've met Tony at the Caravan in Manassas, Virginia. Thanks to all three. Got a picture, don't we? Thanks to all of you guys and what you do for Mountaineer Athletics. There we are. So that was at the Coliseum. There's the folks from Manassas. Just a great group of people there from Manassas. We had a caravan stop there for the very first time. I got in a little bit of trouble in Manassas.
Excuse me?
I was emceeing the event.
Yeah.
And Mountaineer fans were there. They were excited. It was a great night. First time we had been there for a caravan stop. Mountaineer mascot was there. I asked him to fire the old gun.
Oh, you don't do that.
Not in Manassas, not near all that national security stuff like that. But
You shouldn't do it anyway.
well, we got out of there.
You don't be handling that.
Well, I didn't shoot it. No. The Mountaineers
Oh,
shot
okay,
it.
good. I was going to say,
asked
you
him
don't-
after that.
Oh, don't touch it.
No, I don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Don't
He's
go
the only
near it.
one.
I know.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They get in trouble. If
Oh
they
yeah,
do.
you don't hand that out.
No. So I asked him, and he did. I guilted him into it. Like there's all these Mountaineer fans. I said, shoot the gun.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done that.
Don't do that.
Yeah, director of athletics spoke to me about it afterward. He just thought it wasn't the safest place, near an airport, near the whole thing there.
Plus, it's like a Civil War
Imagine that.
recreation there.
He didn't plan ahead or think something out.
Didn't plan ahead. Classic Tony riffing.
Texter says, I enjoyed meeting homeless Dave from St. Maria Goretti, Chris from Charlestown, now in Pittsburgh. I tell you what, there he is. So there's homeless Dave. Not many. He was decked out there.
That's one of the Daniels new pieces.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
I'm aware. Stocked some of it last Tuesday on my shift.
Yeah, so that's a nice piece right there that homeless Dave
That's really
is
nice.
wearing.
By the way,
He's got
it is,
go back to that picture for a second too. Homeless Dave doing a nice job there. So he's got the Daniels piece. Can we get that picture back? Got the hat on there.
Yeah.
And
got the three guys hat.
those
Kirchhoff.
pants. He told me who those were. Those are like seriously those are like Ralph Lauren pants. So he was like all decked out.
plus, homeless Dave has become
He's the
like
he's the
the fifth
greeter.
Beatle. I mean,
he's the greeter.
No, it's just, and it's nice because we meet all these folks and it's wonderful. We have wonderful conversations and we get a picture made with them. Homeless Dave now is
The star.
I got my picture made with Homeless Dave.
Sure. Yeah.
By the way, Homeless Dave's daughter was there.
Emma.
Emma was there.
She's
Great to have
terrific.
Emma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Because she got in touch with Homeless Dad and said,
With homeless dad.
like, what is this three guys tailgate thing going? Can I come? And he said, yeah, come on. And she handled distribution
Oh, did she?
of Connection 304.
Yeah.
She was very involved in distribution.
There's no question. Working on this is unconfirmed, but working on some NIL money to get her out of grad school there and see if she can come.
It'd be
start
nice.
Working,
Yeah,
working
exactly.
on NIL deals.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of NIL, we had the 20th anniversary this weekend of the Elite Eight Mountaineer basketball team.
Oh, yeah, we talked a lot about that yesterday.
And it was just Brad was there.
Awesome.
And it was just, it couldn't have gone better. Those guys are just the best. But anyway, the reason we had it during football season is because in basketball season, those guys are unavailable because they're in the business.
Yeah.
Literally almost everyone.
Coaching. So I took one of the guys that's now in the coaching business aside, and I talked to him a little bit about NIL because one of the hardest things to do is track down what these real numbers are. And without revealing a whole bunch of information, he told me that at his particular school, and they are in a power conference, that their NIL is just a little south of $4 million. And he told me that in their power conference, the best player on a team is making between $1 and $1.2 million a year.
Wow. Whew.
Wild, isn't it?
It is wild.
Just absolutely wild where we are. Texter. Perfection. Great job, fellas. I also received an invite to cook with Rev Kev. I've had the pleasure of learning from the best. Hoppy wanted me to share my property ownership story. I still own property in Wirt County. It's an active post office.
Mm-hmm.
Love the show. Rob from Dayton via Wirt County.
Yeah, Rob, we had a nice chat with Rob
Oh, look at all these guys, man.
from Wirt County, and there he is with Rev Kev,
Yeah.
and he lives in Ohio now, as he said, but he's from Palestine in Wirt County.
In Wirt County. Okay. Yeah. So he got into the truck and everything. There's inside the Rev Kev barbecue trailer, 32-foot trailer. Those guys, there's Kobe on the right. That's Kobe. Kobe's terrific. He does a great job.
I was talking to them at the event, and what they said was, the folks in the food truck, was that they got it down. They're getting it down.
It's science. Kind of like repetitions. Kind of like Mountaineer defensive backfield. You know, they made some personnel
the
moves.
reps.
So you
They
mean
said-
you get better and more efficient with more reps?
That's apparently the case.
Huh.
Texter says,
No, in their case, they were already pretty good.
They were
Like,
already
they're just-
good, but they
they're
just, like-
refining to perfection. They were already
Exactly.
really good. Yeah.
Texter says, just in case you guys have not seen this, Pat from Wheeling sends us this photo. The Mothman loves Tudor's biscuits. Tudor's Biscuit World. Now, you know, Brad, this was the here's the deal on Tudor's. You talk about a big weekend. You talk about seasons changing.
Big.
Number one, you got a big football weekend, right? So people just flooding in there to get their biscuits. And you got the Mothman Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Mothman fans love Tudor's biscuits, right?
Well, who doesn't?
Right. And so just keep this in mind, that when you want to eat something that's got a little something about it, something with some brand equity, why wouldn't you stop at Tudor's? They are the home of the world champion South's Best Biscuit. In that competition last March, 32 different biscuit manufacturers competing for the title of Best Biscuit in the South. And the March Madness bracket, at the end of it all, in the championship, Tudor's wins. It's the Tudor's Mountaineer. Country ham, egg cheese, crispy hash brown. Hoppy brought us those last weekend.
This is killing me. I am starving.
And
This is absolutely
celebrate
killing me.
West Virginia in
Well,
a
it's not
special
your job
way.
to get
It's
my food.
Tudor's Biscuits.
That just sounds really good. Got an intel report this morning here in Morgantown earlier today. Tudor's Biscuit World might have sold 3 billion biscuits this morning.
3 billion served.
That part's unconfirmed. It was confirmed that Tudor's here in Morgantown was packed this morning. Busy.
Yeah.
Everybody's
People on their way out of town
Well,
from the
sure.
game, they want to load up, get a couple hundred biscuits, and
I don't
go
blame
back. Yeah. Three Guys Tailgate was everything you guys said it would be. Rev Kev, fantastic. We had the pork belly bacon BLT, 2 boxes of chicken and brisket, and the brisket biscuits. Connection 304, amazing. Look at this guy, just took it all. Drafts, 2 Sixers to go. Amazing start to the Kansas game.
Awesome.
So just
Look
like
at that, efforting.
There we go. Efforting and the 2.
That's a
good picture right there.
P1 listener.
Go back to that 1 second, guys. That's a great picture.
Yeah. It is.
Got an efforting shirt flanked by those cans are nice.
Stadium in the background there.
Who's that from? Who sent that? Is that signed?
That's
awesome. Great
no,
job.
it's not signed.
I was able to
Great job.
replenish my
Thank you.
Connection 304 supply at said event.
So was I. I have a pack of 6 in my refrigerator at home.
I had 6. I enjoyed 2 connections last night celebrating the victory.
Finishes well.
The finishes were great.
Hi, guys. Steve in Raleigh, North Carolina. My wife and I came to town for the Kansas game, made our first visit to the food court. We were sorry we missed all 3 of you, but we did get to meet Homeless Dave and Oliver Straw's dad, Anthony.
Anthony's still here?
I thought
he was
left.
going home.
So did I.
All he told us it was first 4 games.
That's what he told us. And to
Doesn't
add,
Anthony have to be in
just he works remotely.
Africa?
Did he immigrate?
Add to the
Scotland.
Dad?
He says, add to the lore of there's always a West
Iceland.
Virginia connection. We discovered that Dave there on the left and my wife both graduated from the same small college in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Keep up
sure.
the great work. Enjoy
course
the
they did.
photo of me with Dave and Anthony Straw. I did not
So
see
is
it.
Anthony sticking around? Or is that it? Is he back in Switzerland?
He's an expat, I think.
I love it. Of course, welcome to stay.
Yeah.
Well, he
yeah.
can come. He can be at the food court anytime he wants. Love to have him.
He could be an
international.
ambassador.
We're international.
Influencer.
At the Hall of Fame induction, Saturday morning, one of the 8 folks that got enshrined was Bob Donker, a Canadian native and truly one of the greatest track performers in West Virginia history. And so he got up, and I didn't realize, he said, he lives in Norway.
Oh.
Married a girl, had his family in from Norway. So I talked to him afterward. He said, well, actually, right now, we're living in just outside of Boulder, Colorado. Then I'm going back, like for a year or 2. Then I'm going back to Norway.
Summers in Norway.
Well, he says, I'm an expat, but I'm like here, there, like, and everywhere. And so he's going to come watch the Mountaineers when they play at Colorado in basketball this year. Who's excited about that?
I thought maybe you were going to say while he's in Norway, he's run into Anthony in the grocery store or something. Because Anthony's probably been in Norway. Just regular Tuesday, Anthony probably skips over to Norway.
Oh, boy. Nick from Madison checking in. Not sure what's going on at the game as I have it recording at the moment, and I'm staying away from ESPN and all of my notifications. I'm checking in from Point Pleasant at the Mothman Festival in hopes of bringing good luck again this year. There he is.
Very good.
There he is.
Well
the
done.
Mothman has been ID'd.
Well done.
They look like look at the crowd there at the Mothman.
they
Of
get a big
course,
crowd.
huge.
And by the way, I did some efforting with somebody who's from Point Pleasant. And I've done some. I need to do more thorough checking, but your story about the Mothman is not holding up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Who
What
do
do
you
I-
think the Mothman
Hey,
was?
here's the thing, guys. All due respect, why don't you do this on your coffee clutch with you two? Let's move on here. We don't need to talk about the Mothman anymore. Real?
You get nervous
Wonderful.
when we talk about
Yeah,
him?
I mean, just all due respect to the Mothman. Let's move on.
He did say with all due respect, so we should move on.
Move along.
Hi, guys. Regardless of the result of this game, this is an in-game text.
Oh, okay.
Regardless of the result of this game, I'm happy that I have a new football watching partner in my home. My wife and I welcomed our firstborn yesterday morning, Eliza
there's the
Marie
picture.
DeLong.
Awesome.
So here's to the memories I hope we will get to make in the years to come as those country roads take us to Morgantown and beyond, if that's close enough to support the Mountaineers. Mark in South Charles.
Look at
Little
the hair on
baby.
that baby.
Look at the little baby. Got the game on in the background. Awesome.
That's great. Congratulations.
Welcome and congratulations. Texter, it was awesome to see the Elite Eight basketball team get recognition. I was a senior. Listen to this story. You talk about connection and you talk about things that happen that you never put two and two together. I was a senior in high school in 2005, growing up in Maryland. I had my sights set on Frostburg or Towson to attend college. All of a sudden, this team of less than athletic but extremely skilled basketball players made an epic run, and I started researching WVU and decided it was a fit for me. 20 years later, a wife and kid and living life as a teacher in Morgantown. It really makes you put it all into perspective. How different would my life be if they did not make that run?
Yeah.
Never underestimate the power of sports. Thanks, as always, Matt in Morgantown.
Awesome.
Is that amazing? I'm going to send that to John.
That's a good one. You know what I was thinking, Tony, at the event the other night? Kind of a bunch of different things, but that's a great way to say that about how, and that team in particular, just changed so many lives in terms of it just makes you smile. You talk about that time, it just makes you smile. And you were replaying at the event the 2005 video that Dan Lohman did, which was
amazing.
Tremendous then, tremendous now. Dan's excellent. And it was wild, Hop. I told you this story yesterday. You're sitting there watching that, and you're watching Gansey with the big baggy shirt underneath the jersey make a reverse layup or hit a three. And, Tony, you look over 10 feet over here, and there's Gansey 20 years later sitting there. He's got his little girl on his lap.
I know.
Or Patrick's hitting a shot and giving you the airplane, and there's two little kids sitting on Patrick's lap.
Yep.
It's remarkable just the passage of time, what it does, but how vivid those memories of those guys were. And how you look at them, and there's Mike Gansey, the dad, but to me, he'll always be Mike Gansey that absolutely lit up Chris Paul in Wake Forest.
Yep.
Right? I can remember that as if it happened yesterday. How many hundreds of thousands of people have that same memory of them?
So
Fun team.
So they had all of the upperclassmen of that team sitting at one table at the front of the room. And they put this, so we set the scene by saying, hey, for all you people here, you remember this team, but let's just kind of bring it back into vivid memory. And we showed a 10-minute highlight. Mm-hmm. It's on YouTube's, by the way. I think it stands the test of time unbelievably, right? So while they're showing that video, I wasn't looking. I wanted to go in the back. I stood next to Gansey's little kids. I wanted to see what they reacted when they saw their dad, because they're still so little. They still don't know what he did or what he does. And they're popping around. But then my wife told me that she watched J.D. Collins, and she said he had a smile on his face the entire 10 minutes while that was on.
Yeah.
And if you remember, J.D. was not a big emotional guy.
No.
But, like, he's just sitting there, and it was just like all of those unbelievable things that they did. It's just an absolute wow.
One last story
Yeah.
on that, and I told this yesterday, but Tony, I think I told this to you off there. The other neat part of that is as that part ended and some folks left the event, that whole team, that group got together and sat at a table, and John Beeline got up to talk, and you're looking at that, and so here's these guys 20 years later having a team meeting. And it makes me laugh. They were listening to Beeline as intently as if he was given the Wake Forest scouting report. 20 years later, not a single
in.
eye looking anywhere else. I didn't see anybody pick up a phone for the hour that they were there. They were all dialed in. And again, he was so particular about chemistry, right? And the chemistry of that group is probably unmatched. It's hard to touch it. It's hard to feel chemistry, but that is so important. And that team had it, still has it 20 years later, even though they hadn't been together.
So John spoke to the current Mountaineer team, and the players spoke to the current Mountaineer team Friday afternoon. Oh. And the big theme that I was told that they shared with them is that their team had success because they were absolutely selfless.
Yes.
Didn't matter who scored. We just wanted to win. That's the only thing we wanted to do, was find a way to win. And hopefully that will, trickle on through. Sean in Florida writes, for all of us out-of-staters, has there been lightning in Morgantown every day in the last month or just on game days?
Almost literally just on game days.
The weird circumstance.
Hasn't rained in months.
I mean, we need rain. We're in a serious drought situation. And when you finally get rain, it's from like 3 to 5 on game day. I mean, you don't want to. There's a greater need here for the rain in West Virginia, but boy, couldn't you pick like another day than in another time period? No, it has to
just a couple hours later.
Yeah,
can't even be on the same day. Just go later,
or just whatever. But
Nathan from Chesterfield, who identifies as a CPA, writes in, because of the rain delay, I listened to Tony while I was mowing the grass. When we scored that final touchdown, I started sprinting and yelling throughout my yard. My hokey neighbors thought I had gotten into a Yellow Jackets nest. Never a doubt. Let's go Mountaineers. This is interesting from Professor Vinny. I introduce you guys to my favorite psychological concept, basking in reflected glory of
Burging for short.
Burging for short. Okay, basking in reflected glory.
Burging, whatever.
Essentially, it's when a person takes pride or gains self-esteem when their sports team wins. Mm-hmm. Like saying, we won after West Virginia beat Kansas, or we're tied for first in the Big 12. It works the opposite as well, saying they lost after the Penn State game or the Pitt games. By disassociating they instead of we after a loss, you save face. It can be applied to other things, but mainly it's been used in sports. I'm glad I get to engage in some burging for a few days. We beat Kansas. 3 guys, the players made plays today. That's all the texter said. Hey, 3 guys, players made plays.
Yes, I did.
That should be a T-shirt. Why isn't that a T-shirt yet, Brad? That should be a T-shirt. 3 words. Players make plays. That'd be a great T-shirt because you could use it in so many different ways, not just sports.
We'll get on that. Efforting.
Wayne in Clarksburg. Brad, I have not heard you mention YRR, Tony's Scooby-Doo index. Huddy came up big. Wonder what his number is. YRR is a good stat. The stat takes into account successful plays and yards gained, but it penalizes for unsuccessful plays. In other words, a poor route run, not getting separation, not getting targeted. How are those numbers 4 games in? Wayne, Clarksburg.
Really elite level listeners to this podcast. Thank you, Wayne. Appreciate you bringing up YIR that we've talked about before. The reason I haven't brought it up again is because it confused the hell out of Tony. He didn't know what I was talking about, and I got 15 questions, couldn't tell the stat. But thank you, Wayne, for asking. The answer is this. That was a very insightful question because I had this written down in the numbers.
Okay.
Tony tipped me off, happy to say it was coming, so I saved it for right now. Great question. A 3.95 yards per route run yesterday. To put into context, it's generally, if you're over 2, that's really good. If you're over 2 yards per route run, really good. Hudson almost doubled that in yesterday's game. That was, believe it or not, the 3rd best mark of his career. He had a couple last year that were more than that.
Wow.
So really good.
Thank you,
Good question, Wayne. Thank you.
Thank you for being on top of that, Wayne. West Virginia, hey, 3 guys, I had a blast coming back home. Took my wife to her very first WVU game, and we were able to knock a bunch of to-dos off the list. Number 1, tutors inside of a Gomart.
Huh.
These are pictures, guys.
Well,
we got a tutors inside of a Gomart.
Didn't know you had
That's
that.
a good double check mark.
Check. Went to there you go. Tutors inside of a Gomart. That's Nick the Greek. He identifies as Nick the Greek. So got a tutors at a Gomart. You know what we call that? Daily double.
That's a nice parlay. Parlay cashed.
Yeah, really. So then from there, it wasn't enough because his wife was going to their first game. They had to go to the 3 guys tailgate. There's Homeless Dave again.
Dave in every picture?
Yes.
Homeless Dave, go to tutors. You go to Homeless Dave at the tailgate. Then you got to get some Connection 304 in the parking lot. And most importantly,
Nick is on this.
Yeah, most importantly, WVU win. Check. Great time with Homeless Dave and Jim and Michelle from Parkersburg
they're
Brewing.
they're
Top-notch
they're
people.
terrific.
Yeah.
Can't wait to come back again. Thank
Well
you,
done,
guys.
Nick.
That is.
Well
It checks
done,
a
Nick.
lot of boxes.
Jim back from India, from Parkersburg
Yes.
Oh,
Brewing?
yeah, he's
Yeah.
back. He's back a couple weeks ago. I don't know if we need to go. Dave's over there, Jim's over there, Michelle's over there. They got it.
And then you got Oliver Straw's dad.
And you got
wanna
Anthony
hang out
Straw.
with him.
We're out.
Duca.
Duca. He's
He's
coming
all-
up here. He's coming up here a little
Duke is
bit.
coming up here in a minute.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Well, not live.
Picture.
Oh, okay.
He had his picture made.
I know you never know what's going on in this podcast. You
don't.
thought Duca might be walking in any minute.
I was hanging with Duca there.
The best.
Duca's got a lot of stories.
Yeah, he's got some stories. He brought hats for everybody.
What do they say on them?
No, they're just like straw hats. Because it was
Really?
just like, now there's a hat thing
That's a hat
going.
thing.
Now
Yeah,
there's
good.
a hat
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, you can have mine.
You know,
Texter.
you know what I'd like right now?
What?
Some of Duca's meatballs.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Oh, that cheese right on top.
Oh, boy.
Hey, Tal, how about this? Craig in Craigsville, probably not his real name. I guess Brutus the Buckeye is ready for a Tudors franchise. There you go. Tudors will go to Columbus.
Oh, sure.
They'll take care of Buckeye fans. They'll take care of any kind of fan. They just want to fill the world with biscuits.
Their
Tudors.
money's green, too.
Yeah. Hello, three guys. Paul from Tampa here. 2 words. Hudson Clement. After last week, it's great to see a Mountaineer receiver smack the Jayhawks in the mouth and steal their lunch money. Great ears. Texter. Hey, guys. Friday evening, I picked up a great dinner at the food court. Meatballs from the wine bar were delicious.
See? Just mentioned that.
Brisket from Rev Kev, awesome. Brownies from the Brownie House topped off the dinner. I even spotted a creature as elusive as the Mothman in the form of Hoppy Kercheval.
Present.
I appreciate your podcast and the food court. Great comeback win on Saturday. Texter, first time on Textual Healing. Big fan of both shows, dedicated listener. I was going to take off my autographed hat that Tony signed. I always trade gear during games, but I had a feeling I left the hat on. Thank you, Tony. Moving forward, you 3 knuckleheads give me an honest opinion about. Can this give the back end of the defense motivation for the rest of the year? Still worried we'll be at the UC game since I live there. Last time I went to Paul Brown, we broke the quarterback's leg. Yeah, not a good day.
I think defensively, I think you just keep improving, right? You're just going to have to keep playing and get those reps. Again, we mentioned the defensive line is showing some improvement, getting pressure. We like that group of linebackers. Neil likes that group of linebackers, right? Trotter. Get Carrico back from injury. I hope and assume for the Oklahoma State game that will be a massive help to that particular group. Just keep getting better. Keep getting better.
Trotter was just a force yesterday.
Well, yeah, so here's Tony's obvious observation, and I say this a lot. If you're going to be a really, really good player, you're really, really good when you're young, right?
Okay.
So you ID. Now, that's not to say a guy progressively can't get better, but if you're going to be a star stud, you're just good the first time you come out. Josiah Trotter, as predicted by so many of the coaches, they said this guy's going to be special. He now has 2 double-figure tackle games in his first 4 college games. One against Kansas and one against Penn State. Yeah, pretty good. Right? Hey, guys, Austin and Ethan, our producers back there, so let's run off some of these pictures that we had from the food court if we could. You just start firing photos, and I'll just try to do my best. There is. Okay, so special guest. No, Hoppy's. Yeah, wait. Go back one, please. So, no, that's not it.
Well,
Anyway.
these 4 guys came together and were hanging out. They were enjoying a connection and just nice guys. Chatted with them.
That's
Pleasure
good.
to meet them.
Okay, there's the one I want. Thank you. This is the dean of the Chambers School of Business and Economics. That's the gentleman in the suit, Josh Hall. There's Duca with his straw hat from the wine bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, Duca wears that well.
Yeah.
There's Abby, lovely wife, and friend of the show, Mark Bowe. So we had a celebrity there.
Yeah, Mark Bowe was there.
Mark Bowe was there.
Yes. I missed him, but he was there. I just missed him.
Did he want to reclaim any of the wood around?
I think he left with one of those barrel tops. I think.
I want to take that barrel
Make a-
top. Great to see
make
those
a-
guys.
make a cabin out of it.
Also, we had live music. Kagan McLean was there and did a terrific job.
Moving to Ohio.
Ohio?
Kagan is, but how about this? So his performance drew the attention of another guest of the food court, the Sargent and the Clement families, and rumor has it that Hudson's dad, Mark, will perform. Well, Mark and Murphy, they're both on the team. He allegedly has interest in playing as the performer on Friday, October 11 at the food court. So Huddy Clement's dad.
That's him on the left there.
Yeah, Huddy's dad is going to perform at the food court, unconfirmed and rumor at this point. So we'll see. Seriously, Kagan was very good, Dave says. Very, very good. Also, special thanks, Brownie House, Wine Bar, Rev Kev, friends at Parkersburg Brewing. Great vibe. Connection 304, another great weekend.
Boy, there's Homeless Dave photobombing another group shot. Those are the Clements there on the far left.
You know,
Putty's mom and dad.
You know what's funny about that?
What?
Like, what's funny is Dave's in every picture, but like in the perfect world, Dave doesn't want to be in any pictures. So like he likes to be behind the scenes, but all of a sudden he's become
Well, he's kind of a celebrity now.
he's like one of the Kardashians.
Minor
just all
celebrity.
over there, just all over the place. Rev Kev, impressive list of people that he fed this weekend.
Oh, there's the twins.
Oh, look at those cute little babies.
Yeah.
Awesome. Twins.
Very
are-
nice couple. Met them.
Now,
There's Georgie.
Georgie, a P1 listener.
Georgie's a P1.
She got a hat.
Bought a hat. Matter of fact, she had it all. She had a beer. She had a hat. She had food.
Awesome.
Georgie checked a lot of boxes there.
You did a great job hosting with Dave this weekend on Friday. Good job.
Enjoyed meeting everybody.
You
Had
know,
a nice visit.
I popped over there Friday at noon for lunch since it was the first time we did lunch. Ren Baker was there, got himself a beef tenderloin. I said, you going beef or you going sausage? He says, dude, whenever there's beef tenderloin, you got to go beef tenderloin. Ben Murray was there from the department.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Barry.
Ben loved his sandwich as well.
Yeah, he
Talked to
did.
him,
Runs the alumni. David Alloway, former Mountaineer. Few members of the Mountaineer Foundation. Baseball coach Steve Sabins.
Really?
Now, he's put a request in
He
to
has
get
put a
Rev
request.
Kev's trailer and the food
Well,
court over to baseball game.
He'd like the whole food court at a baseball game.
Yeah, we could probably
Can we do that? Can we do that?
We can do whatever we want, yeah.
Efforting.
Got no rules. Dave says more beer coming from Parkersburg Brewing. All right, there we go. Let's do a couple more of these, and then we got to go.
Hold on. Can I give you one more spreads on stats Conley CPA group number real quick? Just because you guys brought it up about Trotter. I mentioned that stops category, right? Definition by PFF. It's a failure for the offense.
Mm-hmm.
So Trotter leads the team right now with 16 stops.
Wow.
Okay. So what's that mean? Okay. Pretty good, right?
Yeah.
He's leading the team. If he ended right now with 16 stops, that would rank in the top 8 every year since Neil has arrived. That would be in the top 8 defenders for West Virginia for the season.
Wow.
Is the guy making some plays early?
Wow. And he was out part of the
Season
game.
total.
He was out part of the game yesterday.
As one former WVU assistant coach would say, he's a good player.
We're good.
He's a good player. Joe in Charleston. I can't remember a program that's had more bad weather in the past few seasons. I watched the first half today at the local WVU bar, then got a full day at the Beach Inn, then listened to the end of the game on the radio. Thankfully, Mountaineer fans got something for their nearly 6-hour investment.
Yeah.
It's a good point because he brings this up, and I didn't think about this. We talk about how much better it is to be 2-2 than 1-3, although you'd love to be 4-0. I get all that. But it's better to be 2-2 than 1-3. But besides that, if you lost and you were 1-3, that 2-hour delay would only further make the pain of the loss almost undigestible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the 2-hour delay now just kind of goes away because you got the W. But that is true. If they had not won, that delay would certainly have made things worse.
And also, I understand fans leaving. I get that weather delay is hard to stomach. However, how about those fans that stayed that can now say, I was there when they had that dramatic comeback? It's like all those who stayed for the Louisville game years
Triple
ago with
overtime
Pat
Louisville
White.
game. Yeah, you're right. Exactly right.
Well, there were 312,000 of those fans
Yeah.
that stayed.
Exactly.
That's a great effort to stand there
Yep.
in that concourse and gut through it for 2 hours and then stick around for that game. And I wouldn't blame anybody for not. I get it. But that's pretty impressive, those folks that stayed. They saw a good one.
When they came back in, I was spending the department's money. I said, like, they should give every one of those people a certificate. Here's $5. Go get some. Thanks for staying. Texter. Who do you guys think had the biggest gut punch loss in the conference yesterday? Kansas or Baylor? Boy, both. Baylor got beat on a Hail Mary that sent it into overtime, and then Kansas, the Kansas story. Neither feels any good. How about Florida State just got their first one, 14-9 over Cal. They were on the verge. By the way, Rich had a big win. Rich had not won a game. They were 0-3. And Southern Miss, the opponent, and they pounded Southern Miss.
I think that's just checked a headline in the Kansas newspaper. That's a huge loss for Kansas. I mean, demoralizing because we know how West Virginia's felt after the Pitt game. And this is them after that preseason hype, all those seniors.
So be it.
I know. I'm not expressing sympathy. I'm just saying.
I'm not sure anybody called this week, asked how West Virginia was doing psychologically. Nobody cares. So, sorry.
Mickey from
Pick yourself up.
Mickey from
Got to stand up. Got a big game this week. Got to stand back up.
Brad is
no sympathy.
Brad is very consistent on that one. Like never ever apologize for a win.
Nope.
And give no sympathy.
Nope.
Because they'll walk over you in a heartbeat.
Yep. I sit there, giggle, and laugh. They don't give you a hand up or a call. So sorry. Sorry, boys. Figure it out. You're 1-3. All due respect.
Well, you did say all due respect. So.
Mickey from Huntington, you stated last week that we'll have a bunch of close games. Teams with a lead in the last 5 minutes need to change their strategy. Play to the strength of your team. Run your full offense. Clock stopping on first downs plus the 2-minute timeout favors the offense. How many elite defenses do we have in the Big 12? I'm glad to see Garrett get his mojo back. Need for Jaheim to get his confidence back. I really enjoy your show. Obviously, WVU fans you guys are, but balance with fair assessments, never mean-spirited. We try not to be mean-spirited.
Yeah.
Try not. My son is in Germany for Oktoberfest. He texted me after 4 hours and 3 liters of beer when the crowd was singing Country Roads, Always a Connection. There he is. He looks like Jeff from Sandyville. Oh, boy, 4 hours in and 3 liters of beer. Those are big mugs.
Those are big mugs.
Now, are they serving Connection 304 there in those Oktoberfest?
Get work on that.
I have to make it
Probably is what he's
international.
drinking.
Talk to our distribution, see if they can get over to Germany for Oktoberfest.
I'd like
Put
to
it on a pontoon boat, get it over there.
I would like to do that, but I probably never will be able to.
What, do Oktoberfest?
Yeah.
Why?
Fall,
because it's
it's football season, right?
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to like super plan that out and do it on an off week and just kind of run over and do it.
You could.
You could probably
run
do
over to Germany.
Yeah.
Well, you can leave
What
this.
are you, Anthony
you can
Straw now? Can zip over to Germany. That's something Anthony'd give us. I was in Germany on Monday, Switzerland on Thursday,
Had a rough moment.
Bali on Saturday.
Bali reference.
Had a rough time there, and Brad was right in front of me on Friday. I had to apologize to Joe Hairbear.
Reason?
Last time he was in, I said, we'll get you some gear. No, it was when he was on the podcast.
He was on the podcast,
I said, hey, I'll get you some Mountaineer gear.
Yeah.
And then I never sent it over.
Imagine that.
So Brad was standing right next to me, and I said, dude, here's my phone. Put your address in right now. I promise you that I'm going to get you gear.
So he doesn't get it done, made Joe do the work.
Jeez.
But you got that taken care of.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
It's going to go out this week. Off week, I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to go to the post office, say, send us to Germany. Where? Joe, just find Hairbear. Andrew and Little Rock by way of Parkersburg. A lot of parallels are being made between this game and whatever happened last week. But for me, this game felt like Houston redemption. Very eerily similar, especially with all the freak injuries.
Well, there was a stretch there. We talked about the injuries, but I mean a stretch where it happened like back to back.
Yeah, it was bad. Bad. Ben from Ohio, we won the game because Garrett was the best player on the field.
Mm-hmm.
The 2 picks, understandable. The second one probably would have been a 60-yard touchdown if he had half a second more to get it off.
Right.
And Huddy may have been the second best skill player on the field. He beat that All-American corner like a drum all day long. I'm glad I waited out the weather.
Yeah, sorry. That second pick is right. I couldn't. It was hard to tell if it was an actual hit that caused it to come short or if he just couldn't fully step in.
Yeah.
The defender was right there, and Ray had beaten the defense. If he had another just half a second, you're right. That turns into a big play, 60-yard touchdown. That was just defender did a good job getting home.
Unfortunately, it goes down as a pick, but the other part of that is a guy hanging in there with a
he's
hit coming.
with a dude barreling down on him. Yeah, he just needed a little more room to be able to get that arm through.
Last one. Charlie from Midlothian. As I was getting into the elevator today to go to our room at a Virginia Beach hotel during the weather delay, I saw a family approaching. The gentleman was wearing a West Virginia hat. I commented, "Not looking good." He forlornly replied, "I know. Glad we were wrong." And did you see, by the way, Rutgers beat Virginia Tech.
Yes, they did.
That was a heartbreaker for them, too. The fighting Chianos lined up, went into Blacksburg.
Beat them.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Whatever.
Man, we done. Thanks very much if you've stuck it out. That's a long
That's
show.
a long one. How long was that?
Over 90 minutes.
We had a weather delay in the middle of that, didn't we? Storming in here.
All right. We're back on Thursday to preview the bye week. Yeah.
Brad will have stats ready for that.
Basketball,
into a bye
basketball
week.
practice starts this week. Did you know that?
It starts, does it?
I mean, it really formally starts.
It'll look the same.
The old October the 15th day is now whatever. And
July 3rd.
I think, is it October 17? Mountaineers play their first game.
What?
Huh?
October?
17 or 22, yeah. Against the Fighting James Longs.
That's in October?
It's in October. Oh, yeah, that's in October.
I'm glad you said that.
Oh, yeah. It's in
I mean,
October.
that's a game?
No,
Exhibition.
Exhibition.
That would be fun. James Long,
the Fighting James Longs.
former Mountaineer,
Wow.
former West Virginia Tech coach coming up.
Can we go?
Yeah, it's
Or
open.
is that one of those-
Oh, yeah, it's a
No,
game.
that's not. No, that's
Isn't
not
that
the
one of those
super
secret
Well, if it
games?
was the super secret one, he wouldn't have been able to say it because he would have got nailed by the NCAA. 4 years probation, would have disbanded the program. Couldn't say it.
Feds would have come in, taken away his car keys. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, efficient for 25 years. By Gomart. Get that Gomart rewards card. Go to agomart.com for details or download the app. By Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit LouWendellMarineSales.com. By Tudor's Biscuit World. Start your day the homemade way with a Tudor's biscuit. And by Conley's CPA Group, providing value beyond numbers. We'll have something for you on Thursday. Who knows? I'm kind of like potluck lunch. We're going to kind of sniff around, see if someone's available, maybe do something like that, do something like this. But we'll be here. We'll be here. Special thanks to our producers, Ethan and Austin. Out of here. Have a great Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whenever you listen. See you.